I'll call on stage to come up with me now Ariel Kitio. Under your applause, please. Ariel Kitio, Zhao Shan, and Ethan Tan. Please welcome. Come on up on stage. Thank you very much. And Denis, of course, I wanted to keep the best for the last, but he joined us before. It's fine because we are actually going to talk together. And first, before we take the floor, I would like to give the floor to these three young leaders. Ariel, you work on you want to speak French or English? What do we say? As we want. This is about day one. We talk different language and we are supposed to do it because this is how we think global. Okay, so let's do it in English because our fellow friends here are going to speak English. So you have a very good project. You produce application and programs to educate and help young people to learn how to code. In what country mostly?
In Cameroon mostly and in IDC.
In Cameroon and IDC. So this is how we're going to do. You're going to tell us about what you do, the three of you, and then we're going to ask you some questions about how you see day one and what you learned from it. Ariel, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. So I am the founder of KST. I am the software engineer. So what we do is that we build softwares and educational programs to initiate kids at their young age to coding, robotics, and AI. So we all here are already adults, but before being adults, we were kids. So we are working on creating the next generation of leaders by developing their creativity and giving them the passion and the culture of science and technology in a fun way. So we address it with three main points. We develop softwares that are internet free because back in Cameroon, for example, only 23% of the population is connected to internet. So developing software that is internet dependent is leaving 73% of the population who cannot afford to get access to quality education. And we do something else. I will ask to the room who choose to live or to be born in France, for example. Is there someone here who choose to live, to be born in France or in England or in Monaco? Please, can you raise your hand? Okay, so...
Can you ask the question in French?
Je demande, est-ce qu'il y a quelqu'un dans cette salle qui a choisi de naître en France, en Angleterre, au Sénégal, au Cameroun, ou bien de naître dans un pays où on parle français ou anglais? Ah, you choose, okay. It means that c'est-à-dire peut-être que vous êtes l'ami de Dieu. Donc, on constate qu'aujourd'hui, il y a une barrière silencieuse qui est la barrière de la langue d'apprentissage. Beaucoup d'enfants en Afrique et beaucoup d'enfants francophones font face à une véritable problématique qui est la langue d'apprentissage. Tout le monde doit apprendre l'anglais. Qui a décidé qu'on doit coder en anglais? Ça a été une décision. Avec la puissance des ordinateurs, aujourd'hui, on s'est dit on va faire quelque chose de fondamental qui est ramener la langue parlée à un langage de programmation. Donc, avec nos outils aujourd'hui, l'enfant est capable de coder en Wolof, coder en Lingala, coder en la langue dans laquelle il se sent le mieux. Et lorsque vous téléchargez une application, personne ne s'est jamais demandé si c'était codé en anglais ou en français. On se demande juste est-ce que ça marche. Donc nous également, on s'adresse à cette problématique fondamentale qui est la langue pour permettre un accès égalitaire à l'éducation de qualité. Et c'est ainsi que les enfants, lorsqu'ils sont focalisés sur la résolution de problèmes, ne se posent pas la question est-ce que j'ai bien mis le point virgule, arrivent à être plus créatifs, à être plus... open. Donc, je vais vous partager deux exemples. Par exemple, on a des jeunes filles de 12 ans qui ont créé un lecteur de musique parce qu'elles aiment la musique et à la maison, on leur dit la musique, c'est pas pour vous, deviens d'abord médecin avant de penser à faire la musique. Elles sont frustrées, elles arrivent à créer un lecteur de musique où on n'écoute que leur voix, par exemple. On a, par exemple, des enfants, leurs maisons ont brûlé. Ils avaient 7 et 8 ans. La seule chose qui les choquait, c'était ça. Ils ne savaient pas quoi faire. Ils ont créé un petit logiciel qui apprend les premiers gestes de secours lorsqu'une maison brûle. Donc, notre approche, ce n'est pas de créer des développeurs aux équipes de Microsoft, non. On travaille avec des enfants, la tranche à 7 à 8 ans. C'est de leur dire, vous avez un ADN, vous avez de la sensibilité, ça peut être la musique, ça peut être les fusées, ça peut être ce que vous voulez, mais vous pouvez utiliser la technologie pour créer de la valeur. Et en utilisant cette technologie-là, vous ne devez pas avoir des barrières comme le sexe. Je suis une jeune fille, moi je suis fière d'être doctorante en génie logiciel, donc je suis une fille, je peux coder. Je suis dans une zone où il n'y a pas Internet, ça n'a pas de raison d'être. Personne n'a choisi de naître où il n'y a pas connexion Internet. Donc, on n'a pas forcément besoin de travailler avec des outils connectés à Internet. Et troisièmement, je ne sais parler que le Wolof, je sais parler que le Yemba, je sais parler que l'arabe. C'est suffisant pour apprendre à coder parce que savoir écrire, c'est suffisant pour être créatif. Donc, c'est ça que nous faisons.
Thank you, Aya. I think she deserves a round of applause because actually what she does is concrete. It's technology. It's technology for good. It's technology for inclusive society. It's technology for equality. So I think it's a very good, and also it's a technology that shows that science can be cool too. So thank you very much for that. And moving to this part of the room, because we also have some people we call them the young leader. They are a student in master degree at Sciences Po, and you want to work on the international security because you really are aware of the potential danger of technology, and you want to address this issue because some people can be scary to that. So you're gonna tell us about this. And also Ethel Tan, she's pursuing a master degree in digital and new technology, regulation and governance. So if you can tell us what you do, what you want to do it, before we move to a more open question on what you think about day one.
Yeah, so first of all, great appreciation to Denise for inviting us to be here. It's a real great honor, and I'm very humbled to be here to represent the younger generation. So for us, we come from a background of the public sector. We focus more on public policy, regulation, and essentially what we can do to address the problems and the challenges that are facing the global community today. So we're talking about inequality, we're talking about immigration, climate change, and also security in many different facets, cybersecurity, international security.
Yes, for sure. I mean, as young people, we are concerned about the state of the world and where our world is going, and particularly how things like artificial intelligence, how technological developments will ultimately affect our lives down in the couple of upcoming decades. So it's important that when we, as businesses, as corporations, as international organizations or governments, consult young people and have us integrate them as part of one of their priorities. So personally, I'm a researcher actually, and I do my research focuses on the Belt and Road Initiative, currently funded by China, and this has ramifications over the next couple of decades because we're looking at economic development, we're looking at political influence, and we're looking across how new military defenses might ultimately affect our livelihood because the state of the world is ultimately going to change. I mean, previous generations have lived through World War II, World War I, and these still have ramifications in our current era. So it's really important that we study and we engage in young people because ultimately we would be the ones that live through those ramifications.
Definitely, engaging young people is decisive. It's something that we just have to do. And by the way, Day One event has started with 3 girls of 9 years old on stage giving a keynote or exchanging with Denis, the founder of Day One. So it shows how important we know it is. And also by giving you the floor for this closing session with Denis is also another statement of how we know it is important. And I believe Denis had a few questions to ask you. And also this is a very open session. We are young people, right? We don't have barriers, so please interact. If you have a question to Ethan, you just can.
Yes,
Denis?
so essentially what we feel young leaders should be doing is to engage in research, in dialogue, to really just be engaged on a multi-stakeholder platform like this, not only with the private sector, but also with the public sector, because all these problems that we're facing today, they really cannot be solved in silos. The private and the public sector cannot be separate. We need to talk about it together. And one perfect example would be internet regulation, because we see that a lot has to be done in terms of curbing back the bad content that is on the internet. So even Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg, has said how he cannot solve this by himself anymore. So essentially, we really appreciate these kind of platforms.
And in terms of digital governance, many times young people, the youth, we strongly are more intertwined with technology, with social media, and we are the ones that live through such an era. So I think many times corporations, governments lack a priority for engagement with youth, and many times we're left out in the dialogue. So it's important that we sort of look at how new developing trends such as social media, digital forms of payment ultimately could affect the world, but also how young people see them, because ultimately we have a potential to uproot many industries and uproot how we see and how the livelihood of or the trends of the world, where we're going the next few decades.
Yeah. So I've got a few things. First thing, how old are you?
I am still 23.
23. Ariel, 27,
21.
21.
And
Oh.
earlier we had Elliot, who is
Okay.
19.
So we have a group of young people, 6 of them at this stage, but it will be growing. Plus, we had these 3 little girls. Fabian, who was there as a little boy he's 10 years old. And what we want to have next year, because it will be more structured, more organized, and because we are going through the learning curves as well, because that's the second edition of Day One. So we want to have a challenging view of everything which is said on stage by someone, and most of the time by someone who is older, running maybe a large international companies and saying, what do you think? You're 21, you're coming from somewhere else, what do you think? So I've got a question for both of you.
Yes.
You're coming from Singapore, right?
Yeah.
And you were
Singapore
born
as well.
Singapore as
Yeah.
well. That's one of the reasons why your English is so perfect. I'm really ashamed. So, first question, when you got in Paris, what was your first impression about Europe and France specifically? Main point of, oh, it's nice, and main point of, wow, yeah,
Well,
surprise
yeah,
and yeah.
Well, you know, from the Eastern perspective, we romanticize about Paris a lot. I can tell you, in dramas and music,
Yes.
right? We sing about how romantic Paris is. So obviously, when we come here, we have that preconceived notion. And yes, it's really nice, it's beautiful as a tourist. But having stayed in France for a couple of years already, I think I would say, of course, there's the good and the bad. Well, the bad is that, France and the European countries have a great heritage, something to boast about, something to be proud of. But I think that there's this mentality that's also holding them back from progressing and innovating and developing even further and as fast as the Eastern counterparts are doing.
Yes, and
Do you have the same impression?
Yes, I think it's sort of a cultural difference as well, because and at least I can say about the whole of Asia, but I can say in Singapore, we're definitely more open to new innovations, definitely more open to digital governance. Singapore actually launched, for instance, the Smart City initiative, where we are digitizing a lot of our livelihood. We're digitizing how we interact with the government. So a lot of things that I see in France, for instance, is based on paperwork. I think if you live in France, you're used to bureaucracy, you're used to paperwork, you're used to long lines at the prefecture, the police, if you want to get your titre séjour. At least that's from my experience. And you don't see that in Singapore anymore, because we're digitizing it. Many of the processes that we've gone through is faster, it's more efficient. I think Singapore was ranked as one of the most efficient and the fastest place to start a business. I think it takes less than 24 hours to start a business in Singapore, because everything's digital, everything's automated. And I think, coming from Singapore, I was shocked to see how such a developed country, particularly, is living through a period where it's so backwards. There's so many ways we can improve.
And how many students from Asia do you have in your schools? Is it 1%, 2%, 3%? And what was the first interactions between you and the French students? Was it easy? How did you find it? Yeah.
So yeah, actually this is the area that I'm focusing on greatly, because I am kind of the bridge, rather I am trying to serve as a bridge between the France or the European community and the China and Asian community. So I'm doing that in school, I'm also doing that professionally, doing France-China relations. So one big issue that we need to really address is the cultural difference between these two very different societies. And as much as we would like to understand the other, there are still a lot of fundamental differences that we can't reconcile. So yes, we can try, and we should try to focus on parts where we can cooperate on, rather than focusing on the differences. And I think that this is a very essential factor that a lot of societies are not doing today, because we focus on the negatives, we focus on what makes you different from me, and we don't want to come together and collaborate even more. So it's really important to have a global community, or rather global citizens who have that cultural and global awareness to be able to come together and speak about issues that really tie us together in order to solve the global challenges that we're facing.
And in terms of cultural differences, I do agree there is cultural differences. But I also think in terms of what our generation have lived through, there is a global culture of acceptance. There is a global culture of tolerance. I mean, I am able to talk to people from different countries, which I think in 50 years ago would have been sort of frowned upon or seen as culturally inappropriate. So I think there is a greater understanding of different cultures now, particularly when it comes to across regions, for instance. So I'm, as a young person, I don't feel as if I'm bounded by the national frontiers of my nation. I feel like I am a global citizen. I mean, firstly, I identify as Singaporeans, but I also think I'm a global citizen in the sense that as part of humanity, we share more similarities than differences.
And we can all contribute.
Exactly. We can contribute to so many things. We can contribute to global issues that don't just affect one region. Everyone should come together in terms of finding different solutions for different regions. Yeah.
So when we want to draw back the point to really what is leadership in the 21st century, and how do we as the younger generation view leadership for the likes of the CEOs today, the politicians, the policymakers, leadership is really about communication and being able to involve people. Right? It's about inclusion and not saying that we want to do things our way and this is what we're just going to give to you. So even when it comes to global cooperation, when we're talking about connectivity, one good example would be the Belt and Road Initiative that China is doing. So China's policy towards this is really not about just shoving it in your face. It's all about dialogue, cooperation, and saying that this is a win-win situation. We don't want a world that is divided. We want a world that is connected.
Yeah.
Wow, look at that. Isn't she
Alright.
like a great speaker? I mean, look at them. They talk together.
Next year we will be doing VO peut-être. Okay, so for sure. Ariel, when you teach someone to code, do you teach them to code diversity?
Yes.
Openness to diversity.
Yes.
Yeah.
For example, when we teach to code, coding is not the final objective.
Uh-huh.
Coding is a tool. It's a transversal tool that we use to teach to kids that they are able to create something, that they are able to give a solution to a problem. So when kids come to our centers, we can spend like 2 weeks without touching a computer. The first thing is, who are you? What do you like? What are you passionate about? What is that thing that is shocking you every day? And then when we have this personal thing, this particular thing about you, then we teach you how you use technology to address this issue. Our job is not to have people who are like, I'm the best coder in Java, in C++. No, because tomorrow it will be not Java. It will be not C++. Tomorrow there will be humans, there will be problems. So tomorrow there will be new technologies. The idea is, as a human being, what is that fingerprint that you want to leave in the world, and how do you use technology to develop your talent? How do you use technology to create a solution? So, for example, we have with a batch of 30 kids, for example, at the end you can have a kid who's developing a software about basketball, and his neighbor is working on mathematics, and the other neighbor is working about flowers, because they all have different personality, and it's okay. They are sensitive to different things, and it's okay. But all of them are using technology to create something, and all of them understand that I like flower, it's not better, it's not worse than the one who like to go to space. It's just different, and it's okay like this. So for us, technology is not about the place we are going to. Technology is just a tool. And then we work with more than 6,800 kids, and we are seeing how powerful coding can be, because at the end of the day, we have people who are bold, because they know oh, I can create something. That is what I created. That is a solution I gave. And parents are also amazed because we involve parents. It's very good to teach new technology to kids, but we have to train their parents too. Because when they go back home and the parents like, no, just be a doctor, just be a lawyer, there is a break. So we involve parents so that they can understand the challenges, the good point about technology so that they can support the kids at home, because we realized with our study that 70% of kids who are supported by their parents at home are doing better when they are at
You are
school.
totally right, Ariel, and you are very inspiring, the three of you. And I was saying that she was a good speaker, but you are a good speaker. You are actually, we can leave you alone, the three of you, and I know you would manage a very good discussion. And we are very happy to have given you the floor as the last speaker of this Day One event. And we will ask you to stay with us on stage, because now Denis wants to welcome someone who is going to tell you what's going to happen this afternoon. Here is going to be a startup pitch. You are all welcome to attend. There's going to be a cocktail afterward at 4:30. But to talk about this, Denis, you wanted to call on stage.
Yeah. One last word, because now there's no other session, so we can take 3 hours. No, I'm kidding. But if you have one word, 2 words each for next year, what would it be? For this Day One event next year?
For next year's
Something
event.
you would like to see, something you would like to discuss, some challenge that
Like
you would
giveaway
like to
tips.
address, something you would like to work on. If you were about to form a group of students from everywhere to work on something, cooperation, diversity, building, exploding frontiers, barriers, and anything, is there something? You don't have to have an answer. If you want to think about it, take your time. It's
Well,
okay.
I would say inclusion, honestly. Like, it really starts with including everyone in a dialogue. It's not about, just being with people who are similar to us now. It's about having this holistic approach and really just having diverse opinions. And the more diverse it is, yes, it may be harder to talk about things, but I think with diversity, there is strength to really come out with the one best solution to solve that whatever challenge that we're facing.
It was a little bit more than 2 words, but that was good word. Yeah.
I honestly believe in our age, I think one word I would give it is being a Swiss Army knife, because with Swiss Army knife you get all these different tool sets, and as a young person we have to equip ourselves with all the necessary skills, not the hard skills, not just coding, all of these different skills like diversity, more inclusion, more tolerance, more acceptance. So as a young person I feel as if I'm a Swiss knife in a sense, because I'm able to equip myself and then learn from different cultures across frontiers. So I think that's my part of it.
I'm not qualified as a young person anymore, but I do share his view. And you, Ariel, last word? Yeah.
They already said that I wanted to say, so I would say something else. So I would like to have hands-on things.
Handsome?
Hands-on.
Ah, sorry, handsome. I think it was me, sorry.
So,
I heard that
selfish.
too.
hands-on. So, for
Yeah.
example, is someone I really like practical.
Okay.
I really like to practice, and I'm sure many of us we discover technologies and we like to just touch it, just try it. And when we try something, it lasts more than when we just exchange, when we just talk. So, if it's possible to have like hands-on workshops and where people can touch, interact with innovation, will be very cool.
But this is about it. You mentioned workshops. Day One, it's face-to-face, it's meet the speaker, it's keynote talk, it's dialogue, and a lot of workshops also going on. So this is the diversity we were talking about. And this afternoon, we have a pitch session.
Yeah.
So you're going to call on stage someone who's going
Yeah.
to talk about it.
Exactly. So Sylvain is here. So there will be a session between 2:30. Oh, sorry. So, and I didn't see, but I saw Christian somewhere. Christian Bogos, is he still here? I saw him a few minutes ago. So this afternoon there will be a startup pitch, but we said pitch for positive impact session with 15 to 20 startups. So Sylvain is working at Allianz, Now I pronounce it well in English because Allianz. And Christian Bogos, who was there a few minutes ago, is working for Manpower, marketing manager for Manpower. So you decided to sponsor this session this afternoon. So what are we going to see?
Exactement, merci Denis. Je vais switcher en français. Bonjour à tous.
Attendez, je ne comprends pas.
Bonjour à tous. Donc l'accélérateur Alliance, en fait, qui est basé pas très loin d'ici, il est basé dans le stade Alliance Riviera à Nice. Donc cet accélérateur identifie des startups du futur de l'assurance. Donc on est dans le futur, on parlait de future of work, de pas mal de choses, on est dans le futur de l'assurance. On identifie plus particulièrement des startups qui sont au service de nos clients, donc de la prévention par exemple, ou des nouveaux services additionnels pour l'assurance. Qu'on va mettre à disposition des clients. Et donc effectivement, l'événement de cet après-midi, qui est donc un pitch avec des startups à impact positif, nous touche tout particulièrement, puisqu'on a une partie des startups que l'on accélère dans l'accélérateur Alliance qui sont à impact positif. Donc cet après-midi, on va en voir certaines d'entre elles. Donc notamment une startup qui fait de la lutte contre le cyberharcèlement sur les réseaux sociaux. Donc qui touche nos enfants, qui touche absolument tout le monde et qui est absolument crucial. Donc vous aurez l'opportunité de rencontrer cette start-up qui s'appelle Bodyguard. Et vous rencontrez également une autre start-up qui s'appelle Spoon, qui ne travaille absolument pas dans les cuillères, mais qui travaille dans la robotique éthique. C'est un ancien d'Aldébaran qui a créé le robot Pepper à une époque et qui s'est dit que la robotique devait être éthique. Et travaille sur ce sujet, vous verrez, c'est très très pertinent. Ça mêle justement le côté intelligence artificielle, robotique et l'humain. Et l'humain au cœur de toutes ces problématiques-là. Donc on est tout à fait dans la dynamique de ce qu'on a pu voir ce jour et demi à Day One et dans la continuité.
Super.
Donc rendez-vous pour
on se retrouve tout à l'heure, salle des Palmiers, juste à côté.
À 14h30.
4h30, 4:30, and then it's France, so we will end up with a cocktail. We cannot do
Cocktail
plus
at
it's
4:30.
Monaco, so that will be strong cocktails. There won't be any soft drinks, only vodka, whiskey, something for real startups.
No, I didn't hear anything. Je cautionne pas
So
ça.
it will be with Manpower and Allianz this afternoon, just after the lunch that will take place in a few. So I'm just taking 2 minutes to conclude, and that's over.
Yeah, and that's the idea. And we thought that would be a good thing to end up the Day One event with speeches, with young people committed to have an impact, a positive impact, and using technology, obviously, which is the core word of Day One, technology for good, technology for all. And the people here also are illustrative of what we want to achieve in Day One. Just few words, don't forget that Day One is a movement. There are 1,000, how many are we? Yesterday, how many people? The figure it was
10 million? No, I know.
11,000 people was following here yesterday with us. So thank you. We can say thank you to all these people following us. I would like to give another round of applause to you who are here with us. Please. Why? Again, because we are together. And this is about Devan. And actually, I will just ask, this is the closing, right? Okay, we're going to say goodbye now, right? So I will say, everybody here who wants to come on stage with us, because you've been doing this with us. You can. There are some stairs here. You can come on up on stage.
I need a few words before.
You have few words, and we can do it all together.
Yeah, like we did last year.
Like we did last year.
Yeah.
So you can start coming because we have great announcements that Denis wants to make.
Very quick. So first, what we'll be doing until next year. First, there will be a foundation. So we'll see the slide coming up on the screen. So the Day One Foundation is something that we mentioned last year, saying that we will be doing it. It took 1 year because everything takes time at the beginning. So the Day One Foundation will be focused exclusively on working on helping people that will get their job affected by automation, artificial intelligence in the next 10 coming years. And we'll be working to make sure that we raise money and use this money to understand how we will help people to find a new job, a new activity, a new something that we will be doing tomorrow. So you've got here the two guys, Jean de Lamberty and Arash Atta. One is working at Skadden. They decided that there will be some kind of pro bono work for us for 2 years. A huge American law firm. They decided was the Day One Foundation was on one of the 10 top projects that they got last year. The objective was great for them. You know that they love to say great in the US these times. So Skadden say, okay, we'll be working pro bono for us. So Arash is in charge of the project, and Jean, who is working for a multi-family office, is working. So in France, what we call, that will be a fonds de dotation. There will be 5 board members. Ariel, she is there. I think I will ask one of you to join at some point. Benoît Bassi, he was the founder of Bridgepoint. Bridgepoint is the largest mid-cap investment fund in Europe. So a lot of expertise and about investment, positive impact, impact investing. Erika, you met Erika yesterday, Brodnock, she's now in Greece. I think she left this morning. She's coming from London. She's working on women empowerment through different businesses. Pierre-Antoine, that you met just a few minutes ago on stage, the head of Natixis. And Mouna Seferi, who is still the special advisor at Renault for the general manager. So, you know, there's a few changes on the management side at Renault. So you realize that with Jean-Dominique Sénard yesterday. So as you see, it's almost gender balanced. If you have 3 women and 2 men, so poor men, they are as a minority now, so they will complain. So that's foundation. Though first we complete the legal process. Second, we start the fundraising in January. Third, we start the American side of the foundation in January, and I will have a different members of the board that will be mainly American present there, starting the fundraising process. And I hope we'll come back to you next year with the first money in our pocket to start to work on this, and a few partners that I will announce later. So that's what we'll be doing until next year. Second thing, the work groups. So we have a Deliveroo work group on the future of digital workers. So it has already been started. We did this announcement yesterday. I don't know if you went through Les Echos, France Info, France 24. It's all over the place. It has been all over the place yesterday in all the medias in France. It's a real bombshell. They say, okay, it has happened in day one. It was in day one. It happened and has been designed at day one. And that's just only the beginning of the process. So we need 3 additional work groups on every aspect of corporate responsibility. That's what we will be doing, designing 3 groups, plus 1 group on impact investing, and 1 group on mobility, and a last group on digital European champions, but within a cooperation with Asian companies, African companies, and people from everywhere. So that's what we'll be doing. Last thing, and then you can start to come. We had wonderful people last year, so I'm sorry that a lot of people left today. But so first thing, please a big round of applause for Raising Stones. They have been in charge of taxis, the hotels, the restaurants, even some kind of mix-up sometimes, but it always happens. So it was just great. So thank you, Pierre, Marie, Guylaine, Marika, Yasmin. They have been working all around the clock, all time. Second guy, if I was Trump, I would say, wow, a great guy, a huge work. But he did such, and he suffered a lot. He's here in the middle of the scene. His name is Pierce Cumberledge. He has been working for the largest conference in the world. I think he has been doing and been going through so much suffering with us, but he's still alive, and he's still here. Pierce Cumberledge.
Come on stage, Bruce.
Yeah.
Come on.
Please come. And Pierre, if you're somewhere.
Come on stage.
And last but not least, the light, the scene. Did you love that? It was just an amazing work. So it's the team of Alex. I don't know if Alexandre Faro is here.
Alexandre,
Is he where?
if you're here.
Alex,
From les
are you
émotionneurs.
here? So they did everything in less than 24 hours, exactly like us. All these screens, all the lights, all the sound, all this amazing thing that they have been doing. Where is Alex? Alex is here. How many people are working with you today? 15, 20, I don't know. 1 million? 30 people are working backstage between the lights, the sound. And I think that they suffered, but less than last year. So I think the learning curve is going in the right direction, right? He won't comment. Okay. So if you would like to come now, so please remember last year it was 2 days in Monaco. In only 1 year we did Innovative City in Nice, 1,000 people, 750 people yesterday, a little bit less today. And 3 days, Nice and Monaco. Now working with eHealth World that was taking place in the workshops at the Monte Carlo Bay and at Innovative City. We will have a space section next year with the biggest player of the space industry next year at the Grimaldi Forum. So next meeting will be Grimaldi Forum, Nice and Monaco, 2021 and 22, October 2020. That will be really huge. And I'll wait until January to tell you who will be the 2 opening speakers. So please come on stage.
Thank you very much.
We'll do a last picture, but all together, come,
Yeah,
join,
come on stage, because
take the back stairs.
it's a
Please
teamwork.
come with us. Yeah.
We would like to
Marc.
thank you for being here.
Mark, come with us. Come
Yes.
with your wife. She's coming from Dubai to get on stage. Please come. Yazid, Alex, everyone. And we'll be doing a big pictures. And please stay this afternoon for lunch
Yes.
and for the startup session.
Charlotte, Christophe, Frédéric, everybody who's backstage who can come.
That's the biggest panel we had since yesterday. Yeah.
Everybody
Okay.
we don't see, but they are behind the scene and they do an amazing
Can
job.
we have the day one music?
If we can have, yeah, before there is the
Alan
music.
is not here, right?
Yeah, we have. We're gonna do a short video. This is hello everybody. This is Devon. This is the closing session. We'd like to thank everybody for being here and all the people watching us live on the streaming line. This is day one. We are all acting for change because we are the change. We are day one. Thank you very much and see you next year. See you.
Bye bye.